Hi everyone, and welcome to Lotus Light Teachings. Today we're diving into a topic that resonates with all of us. How to stay calm and positive in life. Life, as we know it, often feels like a whirlwind of challenges. But together, we'll explore timeless wisdom and practical tools to help us find peace and clarity amidst the chaos. So grab a cup of tea, take a deep breath, and let's embark on this journey of self-discovery and resilience. Imagine this. You're standing on the edge of a serene lake. The water ripples gently as a breeze brushes your face, and the setting sun paints the sky in hues of gold and lavender. But then, a single pebble drops into the water, creating a ripple that expands outward. The calm surface shifts, but eventually, it settles again. Doesn't life feel like that sometimes? One moment, everything is still, and the next, a single event, a challenge, a disappointment, or even a joy, creates ripples that seem to unsettle our peace. How do we handle these ripples without losing our calm? How can we learn to flow with life's changes instead of resisting them? These are the questions we'll explore today. Through stories, teachings, and a few personal reflections, we'll uncover 3 guiding principles that can transform the way we navigate life: impermanence, mindfulness, and compassion. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're lifelines that connect us to deeper peace and positivity, no matter what comes our way. But before we dive in, let's take a moment together. Close your eyes if you can, and take a slow, deep breath. Feel the air enter your lungs and the stillness of this moment. You're here now, and that's all that matters. In this shared space, we're not just talking about calmness, we're cultivating it together. And in this spirit, let's begin with the first principle. Impermanence, the idea that life storms, no matter how intense, are always temporary. 1. Impermanence, anicca, the nature of change. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a tree in the heart of autumn. Its leaves, once vibrant green, have turned shades of amber, red, and gold. Slowly, one by one, the leaves fall, carried away by the wind. In that moment, the tree seems bare and lifeless, yet beneath the surface, life quietly persists. Come spring, new buds will emerge, and the cycle will begin again. This is the rhythm of impermanence, a truth so evident in nature yet so challenging to accept in our own lives. The Buddha likened life to a flowing river, constantly in motion. He taught that clinging to any moment, whether painful or joyous, is like trying to hold water in our hands. It slips through our fingers. This understanding of impermanence isn't meant to cause despair, but to free us. When we embrace the fleeting nature of life, we begin to let go of unnecessary attachments, opening the door to peace and resilience. Consider the story of the King and the Ring, a tale that resonates with this timeless truth. The king, burdened by immense sorrow, sought solace in the simple phrase, "This too shall pass." Over time, he realized that not only did this wisdom comfort him during hardships, but it also tempered his joy during triumphs. By reminding himself of life's impermanence, he found balance, a state of being unshaken by either the storms or the sunshine. But let's bring this idea closer to home. Think about the last time you experienced a loss, a job, a relationship, or even the passing of someone dear. In the depths of that pain, did it feel eternal, as though the weight would never lift? And yet, here you are, breathing through it. Life moved forward even when it felt impossible. That is the quiet power of impermanence. It assures us that no matter how heavy today feels, it won't last forever. In my own life, I remember a time of deep uncertainty. I had lost something I thought defined me, a role, a title, and the emptiness was overwhelming. But one day, I sat beneath a tree much like the one I asked you to imagine earlier. Watching its leaves fall, I understood something profound. Just as the tree didn't resist the seasons, I didn't need to resist change. I could let go and trust the process of renewal. If you find yourself clinging to a moment, whether of joy or sorrow, try this simple practice. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and repeat to yourself, "This too shall pass." Feel the words settle into your heart, not as a denial of the present, but as a gentle reminder of life's flow. 2. Mindfulness, sati, anchoring in the present moment. Picture this. You're holding a cup of tea, its warmth radiating through your hands. Steam curls upward, carrying the faint aroma of herbs. In this moment, nothing else exists, not the deadlines looming, not the worries tugging at your mind, just the tea, the warmth, the breath. This is mindfulness. It's the art of being fully present, of experiencing life moment by moment without being swept away by the tides of regret or anticipation. The Buddha often spoke of mindfulness as the foundation of all wisdom, for it is only in the present that we truly live. A story comes to mind: one of the Buddha and an angry man. The man approached the Buddha, hurling insults and accusations, expecting retaliation. Instead, the Buddha simply smiled. When asked why he didn't react, the Buddha responded, "If someone offers you a gift and you decline it, to whom does it belong?" The man replied, "To the giver." The Buddha's wisdom here is profound. Just as we can decline a gift, we can also choose not to accept anger, fear, or negativity. How often do we let emotions dictate our actions? A harsh word from a colleague, a moment of frustration in traffic. These become triggers that pull us away from our center. But with mindfulness, we learn to pause. We create space between the stimulus and our response, allowing wisdom to guide us instead of impulse. One of the most transformative moments in my life came from a simple mindfulness practice. During a particularly stressful period, I began setting aside just 5 minutes each day to focus on my breath. At first, my mind raced, thoughts tumbling over one another. But slowly, as I returned to my breath again and again, I discovered a stillness I hadn't known before. That stillness became a refuge, one I could return to even in the busiest of days. If you're new to mindfulness, start small. As you drink your morning coffee or tea, bring your full attention to the experience. Notice the aroma, the taste, the warmth. If your mind wanders, gently guide it back. This practice isn't about achieving perfection. It's about cultivating presence. Imagine how life might change if, instead of being swept away by stress or worry, you anchored yourself in the present moment. Every breath becomes an opportunity to begin again. 3. Compassion, karuna, a gateway to positivity. Now imagine a candle in a dark room. Its light is small, yet it has the power to illuminate the entire space. Compassion is like that candle, a gentle force that transforms not only the lives of those it touches, but also the heart of the one who carries it. Compassion in Buddhism isn't just about kindness. It's a profound understanding of our shared humanity. When we see others' struggles as our own, we cultivate a connection that transcends judgment and fosters positivity. This mindset doesn't eliminate suffering, but it softens its edges, allowing us to approach life with an open heart. The story of the farmer and his horse beautifully illustrates this idea. When the villagers labeled each event as good or bad, the farmer responded with calm acceptance, saying, "Maybe." His equanimity came from a place of compassion, not only for others but also for himself. He didn't resist life's unfolding. He embraced it with understanding. But how do we practice compassion in a world that often feels divisive? Start small. Imagine someone who has wronged you. It could be a coworker, a friend, or even a stranger. Instead of harboring resentment, try this. In your mind, wish them well. Say, "May you be happy. May you be free from suffering." This practice, called loving kindness meditation, is a powerful way to soften anger and build empathy. I once worked with someone who was difficult to connect with. At first, I felt frustration and even avoidance. But then, I began silently practicing loving kindness during our interactions. Over time, my perspective shifted. I saw their struggles and insecurities, and instead of reacting with irritation, I responded with patience. Our relationship transformed, not because they changed, but because I did. Compassion also extends to ourselves. How often do we judge ourselves harshly for our mistakes? The Buddha taught that to truly love others, we must first learn to love ourselves. So, the next time you catch yourself in self-criticism, pause. Place a hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, "I am doing my best, and that is enough." Through compassion, we find not only connection but also a wellspring of positivity. Like the candle in the dark, our kindness lights the way, not just for others but for ourselves. As you sit with these teachings, impermanence, mindfulness, and compassion, reflect on how they might shape your own life. These aren't abstract philosophies but practical tools, ones you can carry with you into every challenge, every triumph, every quiet moment. Life will always have its storms, but with these principles, you can learn to stand firm, to flow with grace, and to shine with a light that uplifts not only your own spirit, but the world around you. Life often feels like an unpredictable storm. Some days, the sun shines so brightly that we can almost forget the clouds exist. Other days, the winds howl and the rain beats down, leaving us drenched in sorrow or uncertainty. In these moments, how do we find our footing? How do we cultivate a sense of calm and positivity when the ground beneath us seems to shift constantly? The Buddhist teachings offer us a map, a timeless guide to navigating these storms with wisdom, grace, and a sense of purpose. The principles of impermanence, mindfulness, and compassion weave together into a framework that doesn't just promise survival but teaches us how to thrive, even in life's most challenging moments. Think of impermanence, for example. Life's transience can feel like a curse when we cling to moments we don't want to lose. But this same truth is a blessing when we remember that pain and sorrow, too, are fleeting. Every storm passes. Every wound heals, given time. The Buddha often taught that suffering arises not from life's changes, but from our resistance to them. When we resist the natural ebb and flow of life, we create tension in our minds and hearts. But when we let go, we free ourselves to experience peace. There's a story in Buddhist tradition about a man crossing a river. To get to the other side, he builds a raft and rows with great effort. When he reaches the far bank, he feels so attached to the raft that he considers carrying it with him, even though it's no longer needed. The Buddha used this story to teach the importance of letting go, not just of material possessions, but of ideas, identities, and even emotions that no longer serve us. How often do we carry burdens that no longer help us, simply because we're afraid to set them down? Now imagine applying this wisdom to a modern challenge. Perhaps you've experienced the pain of a broken relationship. In the beginning, the sorrow feels overwhelming, as if it might last forever. But slowly, as days turn into weeks, you begin to heal. The memories remain, but the pain softens. This is impermanence in action. Understanding this truth doesn't mean the pain isn't real. It means we trust that it won't last forever. And in that trust, we find hope. Mindfulness, too, is a gift that anchors us amid life's unpredictability. It teaches us to live in the present moment, the only place where life truly happens. When we practice mindfulness, we learn to respond to challenges with clarity rather than react out of fear or anger. The Buddha's story of the angry man is a perfect illustration. The man offered insults, expecting them to provoke the Buddha. But the Buddha, grounded in mindfulness, refused to accept the gift of anger. How often do we let others' words or actions dictate our emotions? By practicing mindfulness, we create space between the stimulus and our response, allowing wisdom to guide us instead of impulse. In our busy modern lives, mindfulness can feel elusive. We rush from one task to the next, our minds scattered across 1,000 worries and plans. But mindfulness doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as pausing for a moment to take a deep breath. Inhale and notice the sensation of air filling your lungs. Exhale and feel the tension release. This small act of presence can transform even the most chaotic day into something manageable. Compassion completes the framework, offering a path not only to personal peace, but to meaningful connection with others. Compassion reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles. When we recognize the humanity in others, we soften our hearts and open ourselves to kindness. The story of the farmer and his horse is a beautiful reminder of how perspective shapes our experiences. By practicing compassion, we see beyond labels of good or bad and embrace life's complexity with an open heart. I once heard a story about a woman who had lost everything in a natural disaster, her home, her belongings, even her sense of stability. At first, she was consumed by grief and anger, but as she began to volunteer at a shelter, helping others who had also lost everything, she found a new sense of purpose. Through her compassion for others, she discovered a way to heal her own wounds. This is the power of compassion. It transforms suffering into connection, isolation into belonging. Bringing these principles together, impermanence, mindfulness, and compassion, creates a framework for living with calm and positivity. They're not abstract ideas, but practical tools we can use every day. When you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, remind yourself, this too shall pass. When your mind races with worry or regret, anchor yourself in the present moment with a mindful breath. And when you encounter others who are struggling, extend a hand of compassion, knowing that their pain is a reflection of your own. Imagine starting each morning with a few moments of mindful breathing. Picture yourself pausing before reacting to a challenge, choosing your response with care. Envision small acts of kindness, a smile, a kind word, a helping hand, rippling outward to touch the lives of those around you. These simple practices, rooted in Buddhist wisdom, have the power to transform not only your life but also the world. In the end, life storms are inevitable. But with the teachings of the Buddha as our guide, we can learn to navigate them with grace, courage, and a deep sense of peace. We can become, as the poet Rumi said, the calm in the eye of the storm. And in doing so, we not only find our own balance but also inspire those around us to do the same. This isn't a journey of perfection. It's a journey of practice, of learning and growing each day. So as you move forward, carry these teachings with you. Let impermanence remind you that change is not the enemy but the rhythm of life. Let mindfulness ground you in the present, where your power truly lies. And let compassion guide your heart, creating a world filled with light and love. Imagine a great storm sweeping across an open field. The wind is fierce, tearing at the trees, and the rain lashes against the earth, relentless and unforgiving. Yet, at the very center of this chaos, there is an eye of calm, still, quiet, and untouched. This image is not just a metaphor. It is an invitation. Life, with all its unpredictability, often feels like that storm. But what if we could learn to stand in the eye of it, finding peace not by avoiding challenges, but by facing them with wisdom, courage, and grace? The Buddha's teachings remind us that life is inherently full of change, suffering, and uncertainty. Yet, they also offer us tools to navigate these realities, not with fear, but with understanding and compassion. In becoming the eye of the storm, we do not escape life's challenges. Instead, we embrace them as opportunities to grow, to love, and to live fully. One of the first steps toward this inner stillness is understanding that suffering is not an anomaly. It is a part of the human experience. The Buddha's Four Noble Truths lay this foundation clearly. The first truth acknowledges the existence of suffering. Birth, aging, sickness, death, separation from loved ones, and unfulfilled desires are all sources of pain. Yet, it is the second truth that shines a light on its root cause, our attachments and cravings. We suffer not because life is cruel, but because we resist its natural flow. We cling to the fleeting, yearning for permanence in a world that is ever-changing. Reflect for a moment on a time when you experienced loss, perhaps the end of a relationship or the passing of someone dear. Did you notice how tightly you held on to the past, wishing things could stay the same? This clinging, while natural, deepens our pain. It is like holding onto a rope that is being pulled away. The tighter we grip, the more it burns our hands. But here lies the heart of the teaching. If suffering arises from attachment, then freedom arises from letting go. This is not a cold detachment but a wise release, recognizing that life's beauty lies in its impermanence. Just as the cherry blossoms bloom and fall, their fleeting nature only adds to their splendor. When we accept this truth, we find a calm that allows us to weather life's storms without being swept away. Mindfulness is another key to becoming the eye of the storm. It is the practice of being fully present, anchoring ourselves in the now. Too often, we are caught in the tug-of-war between the past and the future. Regrets pulling us backward, anxieties pulling us forward. Mindfulness teaches us to let go of both ropes and simply be. Imagine standing at the shore, watching the waves crash against the rocks. Each wave is a thought or emotion, rising and falling, coming and going. Mindfulness is like standing firm on the shore, observing the waves without being pulled under. The Buddha likened the mind to a clear, still lake. When it is calm, it reflects the world accurately. But when it is agitated, our view becomes distorted. Through mindfulness, we learn to still the waters, seeing things as they truly are. This practice is not confined to meditation cushions or silent retreats. It is woven into the fabric of everyday life. When you wash the dishes, feel the warmth of the water and the texture of the soap. When you walk, notice the ground beneath your feet and the rhythm of your breath. These small acts of presence have the power to transform mundane moments into sacred ones. Compassion is the final piece of this framework. While mindfulness anchors us in the present and impermanence teaches us to let go, compassion connects us to others. It is the recognition that we are all navigating life's storms, each carrying burdens seen and unseen. The Buddha described compassion as the wish for others to be free from suffering. Yet, it begins with ourselves. We cannot pour from an empty cup. To extend kindness to others, we must first cultivate it within. Think of the lotus flower, which blooms in muddy waters. It thrives not despite the mud, but because of it. Similarly, our challenges can become the fertile ground for growth, deepening our understanding and empathy. Each act of compassion, no matter how small, ripples outward. A kind word, a listening ear, a simple smile. These gestures may seem insignificant, yet they carry the power to transform. In my own life, I recall a period of great difficulty when everything seemed to unravel. A friend, sensing my pain, simply sat with me in silence. They didn't offer advice or try to fix anything. They were just there. That simple act of presence was a balm, reminding me that I wasn't alone. In time, I realized that I could offer the same to others, that even in my own suffering, I had the capacity to bring light to someone else's darkness. This, perhaps, is the greatest lesson of all. In becoming the eye of the storm, we do not only find peace for ourselves, we become a source of peace for others. Like a steady flame, our calm can light the way for those around us, inspiring them to find their own inner stillness. As you sit with these reflections, consider how you might bring these teachings into your own life. When the winds of change blow, can you remind yourself to let go, trusting in the natural rhythm of life? When your thoughts race or emotions swell, can you anchor yourself in the present moment, finding clarity amidst the chaos? And when you encounter someone in need, can you extend compassion, knowing that their struggles are not so different from your own? Each moment is an opportunity, a chance to grow, to love, and to live fully. You hold the power to transform not just your own life, but the lives of those around you. In the storm's eye, there is peace, and in that peace, there is strength. These are the tools. The journey is yours. Where will you begin? As we near the end of our time together, let's take a moment to reflect on the journey we've just shared. Life, with all its unpredictability, can often feel like an uphill climb or a ceaseless storm. Yet, through the teachings of impermanence, mindfulness, and compassion, we've discovered tools to transform how we approach these challenges. Think about impermanence. Isn't it liberating to know that nothing lasts forever, not the pain of today, nor the triumphs of yesterday? This truth invites us to let go of attachments, to embrace the ebb and flow of life with grace. The next time you're in a difficult moment, try whispering to yourself, "This too shall pass." Feel its power to shift your perspective. Then there's mindfulness, the gentle practice of being fully present. Even amidst life's chaos, a single mindful breath can anchor you, reminding you that peace is always within reach. Whether it's savoring your morning coffee or taking a quiet moment before bed, mindfulness brings you back to the here and now, where life truly unfolds. And finally, compassion, the golden thread that connects us to each other. When we extend kindness to others, we don't just brighten their world, we illuminate our own. A simple smile, a heartfelt thank you, or even a moment of patience can ripple outward, touching lives in ways we may never see. Now, I want to leave you with a question, a small pebble to drop into the lake of your thoughts. What can you do today, right now, to cultivate peace and positivity in your life? Perhaps it's a quiet reflection, a kind word to someone, or even just taking one mindful breath. Before we part, I'd like to invite you to carry this conversation forward. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What resonated with you? What stories or practices bring calm into your life? Let's create a space where we can all learn from and support one another. If this message spoke to you, consider sharing it with someone who might need a little light today. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more reflections and teachings on living a meaningful life. Thank you for being here, for taking this time for yourself, and for sharing your presence with this community. Until next time, may you find calm in the storm, courage in the challenge, and kindness in every moment.